Okay guys, my 11-year-old is my photographer right now, so bear with us. We're going to try our best. Some of you asked for a tutorial on how I tape my tumblers so that they don't have any ghosting and the seams are pretty, lined up. So basically, you're going to start obviously with your sublimation print. It varies in size for every tumbler, so I recommend you looking at your manufacturer, talking to your manufacturer and seeing what size measurement they'll give you to give you an exact, sometimes looking at their website or just chatting with them, or obviously old school just measuring. Mine are 9.4 by 8.395 for a perfect fit in my opinion. Okay, so once you do that, you're gonna get all your supplies. You're gonna obviously need your heat tape. I use this dispenser. It's super helpful. I use two sizes of tape. I use the wide and then the little thinner. So basically, I get myself ready with some little pieces of tape. Usually I start with about 5. Yes, this looks crazy, but this is how I do it. You'll come up with your own method, but all right. So obviously you're gonna put the paper on. And what I do is I just press down gently so that the paper goes all the way down, and it lines up usually pretty easily when I do it this way. So as long as I'm seeing that this is lined up here, I take a peek here underneath here and make sure there's a teeny lip of the print. Basically your print needs to be a little bit bigger, so this way it comes up over so you don't get a little white line when it prints. So I'm holding this really tight together, and now I'm going to start here and I'm going to take a piece. And once I do that, I can kind of let go. And this is what I do. I press really hard to the point where my thumb is sore, no exaggeration, after doing dozens of these. So I press really tight, and then I'm just putting the tape down. Okay, and then once I do that, now I'm going to have my loose tape. So I have some here for my little pieces, but then I need a piece, I need this. Basically, I get a piece, and this is going to go up at the top here, and you're going to press really hard to the point where you're like shaking, and then I rest this against my stomach to give myself a little leverage, and I'm wrapping. Sometimes I accidentally make it a little too short, and that's fine. Just cut another little piece, start where you ended, and just continue the wrap. And then I'm gonna hold this in my hand and go like this. I'm gonna go really firm, make sure we're good there. Flip it around. Another piece. And what we're gonna do is now we're gonna be at the bottom. Just notice how I leave a little extra lip of the tape. So hard, pressing hard, and I'm wrapping, being careful that there's no folding going on. Now, if I wrapped it originally when I first started really tight, you shouldn't have a bunch of wrinkling going on here. If you do, you know that you did not do this tight enough. So once you do that, you're gonna wrap it, fold it. Okay, and what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna look and see if there's any wrinkles that go too far, because that's where the ghosting happens if you don't. So what I do is I just run my fingernail across the edge down here to smooth out if there's any little creases that happen to happen there. Okay, so nice and tight. Now what you're going to want to do is another piece of the wide tape. You don't have to use wide, but I find it to be more effective. And what I do is I just put this down here, and I honestly do it gently and then kind of just tap it on, and then I use my finger and go tight, right? But this is where the magic happens. A lot of people use their nail and go down the seam here, which is great. You could totally do that. However, I usually bite my nails, and so it's not very good. And I happen to have this that I got from Walmart. They're just iron sticks that people use for the cuticles on their nail. So I just bought a pack. I didn't, I had it for my nails. Well, when I was doing this and struggling one day, I happened to look on my nightstand and saw this and said, oh my goodness. And I had an aha moment. So now I use it all the time. So And I've never seen anybody else do it. So, but definitely wanted to pass along this tip. So now I just kind of go along the seam like I would my nail. And if you need to go along again, you do. So you get that really good, and then you go again with your hand. You want to make sure this is good. So then what I do is with my thinner tape, I take a nice long piece. I usually start about right here. Whoops. Sorry guys. It's kind of hard because my son's leaning on the bed and tilting my work area. Normally it's flat. So anyway, I hold it tight and I'm gonna wrap tight. Now, some people do this, but then also use the shrink wrap. I don't use shrink wrap. Occasionally I do, but honestly, I don't. Now that I've come up with this method and it works, just by pulling really tight, guys. So if you do this with the tape, I mean, it's a ton of tape, but you should be okay. But again, you're pulling really tight. Always, you know, really tight. You want to make sure you don't have any wrinkling going on. If you do, you're going to want to see if you can fix that by going through it and pulling tight for any areas that might have like some loose. Now, if it's super loose, you're going to have to just start over because it's not going to work and you're going to waste your tumbler. You already see it's not going to work, so don't waste your time. But if you do that really tight, and like I said, you run your finger over. Okay, sorry about that. My son was getting tired. So anyway, like I said, the most important part and where I see a lot of issues happening is down here. So like I said, if you use your nail, make sure there's no wrinkles. Properly have your print properly measured will help too. But yeah, so then you just inspect it and give it a try and see. If you're unsure or whatever and you just feel like the extra protection, then go ahead and use your shrink wrap now on top of this. And you really shouldn't have any problems. I do dozens and dozens and dozens of these. They're one of my top seller tumblers. And of course I get a mess up every once in a while because I am, oops, sorry guys, a human being. But for the most part, I do really well. So hopefully that helped, and I hope you were able to sit through the crazy photography. All right, bye guys.